King of Queens was one of the most iconic sitcoms of the late 90s and early 2000s, bringing laughter into millions of homes with Doug and Carrie's hilarious married life and Arthur's unforgettable antics. From 1998 to 2007, we grew to love every quirky character, but it's been nearly 2 decades since the finale. So, where are Kevin James, Leah Remini, Jerry Stiller, and the rest of the cast now in 2025? In this video, we'll dive into their careers, unexpected life changes, and what they've been up to off-screen. From surprising TV comebacks to totally new paths, you'll be amazed by the journey of your favorite King of Queens stars. Jerry Stiller, born on June 8, 1927, played Arthur Spooner in 1998 at age 71. And that sterile fact hides the volcanic mix of vaudeville grit and personal contradiction that made Arthur unforgettable. On screen, Arthur is a walking car crash of eccentricity, theatrical, vindictive, needy, and somehow unshakably lovable. Stiller's timing turned spite into sympathy, and millions forgave the character's cruelty because Stiller sold the hurt beneath it. He grew up poor in New York City, the eldest of 4 in a Jewish household, where ambition met austerity. That brash survivalist humor was stitched from shame and hunger, and he carried a private reserve of sensitivity underneath his comic bluster. His career is a patchwork of late-blooming triumphs and hard knocks. The nightclub-to-television arc with Ann Mira, then a career resurrection as Frank Costanza on Seinfeld, followed by the long, lucrative stretch on The King of Queens. But it was never all applause. Colleagues and profiles hint at a stubborn perfectionism and an old-school temper that could make rehearsal rooms tense. And like many classic comics, he could be merciless about work while being fiercely protective of family offstage. The darkest episodes were not headline scandals so much as the small cruelties of show business, forgotten roles, aborted projects, and the quiet recognition that a comedian's persona can become a cage. His marriage to Ann Mira was both creative crucible and refuge, yet it also carried the private griefs of a long life together, including Miara's stroke struggles. Stiller himself saw later life health fragilities. He died on May 11, 2020 in New York City, at 92 of natural causes, leaving behind a legacy cushion of television residuals, film paychecks, and family earnings. His estate and public estimates put his net worth in the low to mid-millions, a figure that belies how culturally enormous his work was and how modest the real Hollywood payout sometimes is. Ford Rainey, born on August 8, 1908. Ford Rainey played Mickey in The King of Queens in 1999 at the age of 91. Mickey on the show was the slow smile, old-world constant who punctured the younger character's bluster with a single knowing look. Rainey's presence gave the sitcom an anchor in a vanished generation and lent quieter scenes a brittle credibility. Born in Mountain Home, Idaho, the arc of Rainey's life was not a Hollywood rags-to-riches fairy tale, but a steady accretion of craft. Cornish-trained, Coast Guard service during World War II, then a lifetime of character work across stage and screen. Far from the tabloid sensationalism that fuels modern celebrity profiles, the less-told chapters are domestic and quietly tragic. A man who worked odd jobs, logger, fisherman, carpenter, before finding the stage, who cultivated bees and birds and built a private life away from the glare. His career highlights read like a ledger of resilience. Decades of guest turns on classics from Gunsmoke to The Sand Pebbles, and a late career renaissance that put him in King of Queens as the grandfatherly cipher. He enjoyed few public scandals. His was the profession of the dependable supporting actor, not the headline grabber. Yet the Rainey family would be haunted after his death. His son, Robert, a chiropractor, was found brutally attacked and later died in 2012, an unsolved homicide that reopened old wounds and shadowed the actor's legacy. Rainey died on July 25, 2005 in Santa Monica of a stroke at age 96. There is no public record of lavish holdings. His estate and residuals appear modest, and reliable public estimates of his net worth are sparse, described in press obituaries as reflective of a long career rather than a vast fortune. The truth is elegant and austere. A life of work, hobbies, and an understated estate, with grief that arrived late and without answers. Anne Meara, born on September 20, 1929, played Mary Finnegan and later Veronica Olchin in 1999 at age 69, and her dual roles crystallized a comic intelligence that could cut and console at the same time. Meara's characters were sharp-witted and emotionally layered, the kind who could deliver both a punchline and a wound. Audiences loved her for being disarmingly honest, a performer who never let sentiment dull the edge of her humor. Her childhood was brutally formative. Born in Brooklyn and raised Catholic, she suffered the trauma of her mother's suicide when she was 11, a catastrophe that haunted her empathy and informed much of the restless energy in her work. Professionally, she was part of the seismic duo Stiller and Meara, a 1960s phenomenon that made them cultural fixtures. Yet success carried rough patches, nights of low pay at clubs, being pigeonholed by variety show expectations, and the subtle slights of an industry that rewarded youth. Meara's life also contained quiet controversies. She converted to Reform Judaism in 1961, a deeply personal decision that became public fodder in an era of ethnic and religious visibility. She and Jerry navigated the peculiar spotlight of being both a married couple and a professional team, with creative tensions that could look like marital strain from the outside. Her worst professional setbacks were not legal scandals, but the slow attrition of opportunity as comedy fashions shifted, and later in life, strokes diminished her once tireless performance schedule. She died on May 23, 2015 in New York City at 85, after suffering several strokes. At the time of her death, public estimates placed her net worth in the low tens of millions, a reflection of decades of television residuals, writing credits, and a shared family profile that included her son Ben's Hollywood success. Yet even that sum cannot measure the complicated, sometimes raw humanity she poured into her art. Kevin James, born on April 26, 1965, Kevin James played Doug Heffernan in The King of Queens in 1998 at the age of 33. Doug was the sitcom everyman, doughy, hungry, stubborn, affectionately selfish. A walking, snacking, comic instrument Kevin James tuned with enormous audience sympathy. James grew up on Long Island, wrestled, and played football in high school, and translated that blue-collar, physical comic sense into stand-up before a breakthrough that made him a TV star and then a film commodity. The arc of his public life is a mix of blockbuster paydays and prickly creative choices. After King of Queens, he became a bankable lead in crowd-pleasing comedies, notably Paul Blart, Mall Cop, and Grown Ups, amassed significant wealth. Widely reported net worth estimates place him around the $100 million mark as of recent profiles, and then weathered a few high-profile missteps. The most glaring public controversy came when his post-King of Queens sitcom Kevin Can Wait killed off the character of his on-screen wife, Erin Hayes, and recast the show to bring Leah Remini back. Fans and critics viewed the move as callous and narrative-driven at the expense of an actor's character arc, producing a reputational sting James has navigated ever since. Critically, some of his films drew Razzie attention, even as box office receipts padded his balance sheet. A modern celebrity paradox, popular with audiences, derided by reviewers. On the personal front, James has built a stable family life. Married to Stefiana de la Cruz since 2004 with 4 children, he is by many accounts a hands-on father who keeps domestic life relatively sheltered from headline drama. As of 2025, he is 60 years old, still working in film and TV with intermittent projects and producing credits. His public assets appear to include significant TV residuals, film salaries, and real estate holdings reported in lifestyle press. And multiple reputable outlets aggregate his net worth at about $100 million. A number that explains both the scale of his opportunities and the intensity of scrutiny when he missteps in the public eye. Victor Williams, born September 19, 1970, in Brooklyn, New York, was 28 years old when he assumed the role of Deacon Palmer, the calm, loyal, and often quietly humorous best friend to Doug Heffernan. Deacon's presence grounded the show's chaotic energy, providing audiences with a model of rationality and empathy that contrasted sharply with Doug's impulsive tendencies. His tall, composed demeanor and understated charm made him a beloved character whose appeal lay in his relatability rather than flamboyance. Williams's childhood, however, was marked by adversity. He grew up in a household defined by financial struggle, parental instability, and early exposure to social inequities that cultivated both resilience and an acute sense of self-reliance. Friends recall a young Victor who internalized criticism and learned to mask insecurities beneath a composed exterior, skills that would later inform his acting. His professional path has been steady, but fraught with challenges typical of character actors. Repeated auditions that ended in disappointment, a series of minor roles that offered little recognition, and occasional clashes with casting directors when creative visions diverged. Though Williams avoided major public scandals, colleagues have noted his perfectionist tendencies and occasional stubbornness on set, reflecting a private intensity that seldom reached the tabloid press. His personal life has been deliberately shielded from public scrutiny, though it is known that balancing relationships and career ambitions occasionally created tension, and that his sense of loyalty extends to both family and friends, sometimes at personal cost. Today, at 54, Victor Williams maintains a respected presence in television and film, with appearances in projects such as The Affair and Sneaky Pete. Alongside theater work informed by his MFA from NYU, his net worth, estimated at $2 million, reflects a career of consistency and careful stewardship rather than high-profile celebrity, a testament to dedication and resilience. Leah Remini was born on June 15, 1970, in Brooklyn, New York, and was 28 years old when she took on the role of Carrie Heffernan in 1998. Carrie was feisty, assertive, and unapologetically outspoken, often serving as the beating heart of the show's humor, while simultaneously challenging traditional sitcom gender roles. Her sharp tongue and quick wit created countless memorable clashes with Doug and added a depth of realism that resonated with viewers. Leah's early life was turbulent. Growing up in a working-class Italian-American family, she faced emotional neglect and social pressure that instilled a survivalist toughness. She described her childhood as filled with moments of ridicule, embarrassment, and the constant need to mask vulnerability, experiences that later fueled her fearless approach to acting. Her career was far from linear. Before landing The King of Queens, she endured years of minor roles, rejection, and typecasting, facing the harsh realities of Hollywood's competitive environment. She reportedly struggled with self-doubt, though her fiery determination often manifested as clashes with producers and co-stars, earning her a reputation as both brilliant and difficult. The most explosive chapter of her public life came with her break from the Church of Scientology, an organization she had been deeply involved with for decades. The departure was rife with lawsuits, intimidation tactics, and highly publicized accusations, which she chronicled in her Emmy-winning docuseries exposing the church's inner workings. Remini's personal life mirrored her on-screen intensity. Her marriage to actor Angelo Pagan experienced its share of turbulence, moments of estrangement from family, and the pressures of raising a child while navigating Hollywood scrutiny, yet she has consistently leveraged her platform for activism and advocacy. Despite these upheavals, she has managed to build a substantial financial foundation. At 55, her net worth, estimated at $25 million, includes earnings from television, writing, and production ventures, along with carefully curated real estate investments. Norma Michaels, born on March 13, 1924, Norma Michaels played Josephine in The King of Queens in 2004 at the age of 80. Josephine's razor-edged one-liners and crusty delivery masked the quietly formidable career behind the face. Michaels spent 6 decades refining the art of being that grandmother Hollywood calls on when a scene needs instant character texture, and she turned small parts into memorable dents in the audience's memory. Raised and launched in Los Angeles, her break came early on shows like The Jack Benny Show, and she later doubled as a counselor in the 1980s. A surprising biographical footnote that explains the sly authority she brought to grumpy elder roles. Her career path was not meteoric. It was the patient accretion of bit parts, recurring TV turns, and late-life film cameos that kept her in demand while never making her a tabloid fixture. There are no verified, lurid scandals attached to Michaels. She was not a household headline machine, but behind the curtain, she lived the invisible struggles of career character actors, typecasting, the grind for steady work, and the quiet indignities of being small in a business that celebrates the enormous. In personal terms, she preferred privacy. Public records and obituaries describe a peaceful later life, rather than tumultuous marriages or explosive legal battles. Norma Michaels died peacefully at home in Palm Springs on January 11, 2020, at age 95 from natural causes. Like many career character actors, she left no publicly disclosed blockbuster estate, and reliable net worth figures are not available in major public records, leaving us with the image of a modest estate, a long ledger of credits, and the small, stubborn afterlife of roles that keep reappearing on streaming platforms. Patton Oswalt, born January 27, 1969, in Portsmouth, Virginia, was 29 years old when he first portrayed Spence Olchen on The King of Queens, a character defined by nerdy eccentricities, conspiratorial paranoia, and a deeply endearing social awkwardness that made him a fan favorite despite his frequent comic missteps. Spence's appeal lay in his relatability. The anxious yet lovable friend whose flaws humanized the group dynamic and whose quirks often highlighted the absurdity of everyday life. Oswalt's early life was steeped in emotional complexity and creative expectation. His father's demanding standards and his mother's illness created an environment of constant pressure, prompting him to develop a sharp wit as both defense and performance tool, and planting the seeds for his later career in stand-up and voice acting. Professionally, Oswalt's journey has been a roller coaster. Lauded for stand-up specials and the Academy Award-winning voice of Remy in Ratatouille, he has also faced setbacks, including industry typecasting and periods of professional invisibility. The most personal tragedy came in 2016 when his first wife, Michelle McNamara, died unexpectedly, an event that plunged him into profound grief and forced him to publicly confront mental health struggles while navigating the sudden loss of a life partner. Oswalt's personal life has been a mix of recovery, resilience, and reinvention. His remarriage and continued creative output illustrate a capacity to transform tragedy into artistic expression. Yet the scars of loss remain a defining aspect of his narrative. Financially, at 56, his endeavors across comedy, acting, and writing have secured a net worth of approximately $14 million, supplemented by strategic investments and royalties, reflecting a career that combines artistic integrity with shrewd management. Oswalt's life story is a vivid tapestry of humor, heartbreak, and perseverance, revealing a man who channels personal pain into performance, transforming grief into empathy, and crafting a public persona that is both deeply relatable and quietly heroic. A figure whose off-screen struggles are as compelling and layered as the comic misfits he portrays on screen. Nicole Sullivan was born on April 21, 1970 in Manhattan, New York, and was 31 when she assumed the role of Holly Shumpert in The King of Queens in 2001. The quirky dog walker and reluctant caretaker for Arthur Spooner, whose sarcastic wit and awkward charm balanced the show's more chaotic energy. Holly's character served as the voice of reason, while simultaneously embracing her own oddities, endearing her to audiences and adding depth to the series' comic fabric. Sullivan's upbringing in New York was not without challenges. The daughter of a working-class family, she faced the pressures of urban life, competition, and the struggle to assert her identity in a densely populated artistic environment. Early brushes with insecurity and professional rejection shaped her resilience and sharpened her comedic instincts. In her career, she navigated the highs of MAD-TV fame, alongside the precariousness of typecasting in Hollywood, and her personal life included a high-profile relationship with Seth MacFarlane, interspersed with private battles over maintaining personal boundaries in a public industry. Sullivan also demonstrated strategic savvy, winning $100,000 on Celebrity Poker Showdown and donating it to Animal Rescue, reflecting both her competitive spirit and philanthropic priorities. Professionally, she expanded into voice acting, animation, and recurring television roles, building a versatile resume. At 55, Nicole currently enjoys a stable career in entertainment, with a net worth estimated at $4 million, earned through smart role selection and enduring relevance. Her legacy encompasses both her distinctive comedic timing and her ability to transform minor roles into memorable, audience-beloved characters, creating a subtle but lasting influence on the 2000s television comedy while quietly championing personal causes behind the scenes. Gary Valentine was born on November 22, 1961 in Mineola, New York, and was 38 when he began portraying Danny Heffernan in The King of Queens in 1999, stepping into the world of Doug Heffernan's chaotic family as the hapless, affable cousin, whose schemes and naive charm made him both endearing and exasperating. Danny's character embodied the lovable underachiever, often tangled in romantic misadventures and comedic misfires, providing a foil to Doug's more grounded persona. Gary's childhood was shaped by a working-class family in suburban New York. As the older brother of Kevin James, he navigated the pressures of sibling comparison and parental expectations, masking insecurities with humor and early ventures into stand-up comedy. Professionally, Valentine faced the uphill battle of carving out his own identity apart from his famous brother, enduring countless small gigs, late-night comedy club rejections, and the harsh realities of an industry that often typecast him as the funny sidekick. He occasionally flirted with nightlife excesses, rumored early on for partying and indulging in Hollywood social scenes, though nothing escalated into public scandal. His personal life remained relatively private, though insiders have suggested early romantic missteps and the challenge of balancing fame with family loyalty. Over the years, Gary embraced steadier work, performing stand-up, guest starring in television, and leveraging his wit into writing, all while maintaining a relatively low-profile lifestyle. Today, at 63, Valentine continues to work in comedy and television, his net worth estimated at $2.5 million. Modest compared to Kevin James's empire, but indicative of a sustained career that prioritized craft over notoriety. His enduring legacy lies in his authentic portrayal of Danny, an everyman cousin viewers rooted for despite his flaws, an unsung pillar of the show whose subtle timing and natural charm enriched the ensemble's dynamic and provided a window into the lighter, imperfect side of family life. Larry Romano was born on July 31, 1963 in Mount Vernon, New York, and was 35 when he joined the King of Queens in 1998 as Richie Iannucci, Doug Heffernan's dim-witted yet loyal friend whose clueless charm provided comic relief and helped define the social world around the main characters. Richie's presence added a layer of unpredictability, often becoming the butt of jokes, while remaining endearing in his unwavering friendship, a portrayal that earned him fan recognition despite a relatively short run on the series. Romano's childhood was shaped by life in the Bronx, where he faced both economic pressures and the cultural intensity of growing up in a tightly knit, immigrant-influenced community. Experiences that honed his observational humor and resilience, but also exposed him to ridicule and the need to conceal vulnerabilities. Professionally, Larry struggled to differentiate himself from other New York actors, confronting rejection from casting directors, navigating industry misconceptions linking him to Ray Romano, and balancing his ambitions in music as the frontman of his rock band, Deficit. Behind the scenes, rumors of creative tension and discomfort with ensemble dynamics may have contributed to his departure after Season 3, though nothing was publicly confirmed. Larry has maintained a low-profile personal life, avoiding scandal and dedicating himself to craft and family, steadily building a portfolio in both stage and screen work. At 62, his current net worth is estimated at $700,000, reflecting consistent, if understated, contributions to television and music. Romano's legacy lies in his authentic, grounded performances, his ability to turn small roles into lasting impressions, and the nuanced humanity he brought to characters who could have otherwise been mere caricatures, leaving an indelible but quietly respected mark on late 1990s sitcom television. Lou Ferrigno, born November 9, 1951, in Brooklyn, New York, was 47 when he first appeared as himself in The King of Queens, stepping into the sitcom with the imposing presence of a man whose life story seemed drawn from a movie script. Bullied and profoundly hearing-impaired as a child, Lou transformed his physical limitations and early humiliation into an obsessive pursuit of bodybuilding mastery, ultimately becoming Mr. Universe and a symbol of physical resilience. On the show, his character, essentially a heightened version of himself, combined approachable charm with the occasional domineering energy of the Hulk persona, creating a unique comic tension with Doug and Carrie Heffernan, while in reality, Lou's life was a series of both triumphs and near tragedies. His personal history includes navigating the demanding pressures of competitive bodybuilding while maintaining a family life, which strained his marriages and created moments of public speculation about his relationship with his children. Professional rivalries in bodybuilding often spilled into media gossip, though never escalating into lawsuits or formal scandals. And Lou's blunt, sometimes brusque manner led to whispered stories of on-set friction, highlighting the tension between his Herculean public image and private struggles with authority and collaboration. His most notable career setback occurred when a promising television pilot he starred in was cancelled abruptly, resulting in the loss of a potentially lucrative contract and raising questions about his ability to transition fully into mainstream acting despite his fame. Yet Lou's resilience remained undiminished. He trained Michael Jackson, worked as a deputy sheriff, and successfully leveraged real estate investments, building a diversified portfolio that contributed to a net worth of approximately $12 million. At 73, he now leads a life marked by relative stability and respect within both entertainment and fitness circles, a figure simultaneously defined by the triumphs of his professional longevity and the subtle, persistent personal costs of a career built on discipline, visibility, and physical perfection. Merrin Dungey, born August 6, 1971, in Sacramento, California, was 28 when she assumed the role of Kelly Palmer in 1999, portraying Deacon's intelligent, grounded, and often morally center-of-gravity wife in a sitcom otherwise dominated by chaotic humor. Kelly's character became beloved for her subtlety and clever retorts, her calm pragmatism offering a counterweight to Deacon's impulsiveness, while also occasionally revealing a sharper, more calculating side, hinting at hidden depths beneath her warmth. Off-screen, Merrin's life was shaped by early struggles. Born into a family where financial instability and emotional neglect were constants, she spent much of her youth navigating a household rife with tension and silent disappointment, learning to mask insecurities behind humor and meticulous attention to appearances. She endured years of teasing and social exclusion, often concealing her feelings behind books and performances in school theater programs, a crucible that forged both resilience and an intense drive for personal excellence. Merrin's professional trajectory was punctuated by relentless effort, often balancing overlapping projects such as Alias and Malcolm in the Middle while filming King of Queens, which sometimes led to tension with cast and crew due to her uncompromising work ethic and insistence on precision. A significant career disappointment occurred when she was initially cast in a prominent network pilot that was subsequently recast in favor of a more marketable actor, a blow that left her questioning Hollywood's capricious nature, yet ultimately reinforced her determination to pursue quality roles over fleeting visibility. Her personal life mirrored a similar pattern of struggle and triumph. After a private, high-profile divorce that sparked rumors of infidelity and professional distraction, she eventually married radio personality Kevin Ryder in 2023, carefully managing her public persona to maintain a semblance of privacy. Today, at 54, Merrin enjoys a stable, carefully curated life, continuing to act selectively in television projects and earning respect for her professionalism, with a net worth estimated at $3 million, derived from decades of steady work without the entanglements of scandal or tabloid exposure, making her a rare example of consistent success paired with personal discretion in a notoriously volatile industry. Sam McMurray, born April 15, 1952, in New York City, entered the King of Queens at 49, embodying supervisor Patrick O'Boyle, a curmudgeonly and sardonic authority figure whose dry wit and corporate rigidity created ongoing tension with Doug Heffernan while offering the audience a recognizable embodiment of workplace absurdity. Sam's character was both antagonist and occasional mentor, injecting situational humor and office politics realism into the sitcom's suburban tableau. Behind the scenes, McMurray's upbringing in a working-class New York environment shaped his cynical humor and sharp observational skills. His childhood was marked by economic uncertainty, the early loss of stability, and repeated experiences of social marginalization that taught him to rely on wit and self-reliance. Professionally, Sam carved out a career as a prolific character actor, appearing in Friends, Raising Arizona, and The Sopranos. But his path was not without turbulence. He faced disappointments from roles being recast or eliminated due to studio decisions, and colleagues occasionally found his insistence on professionalism bordering on difficult, fostering rumors of on-set friction. One notable career setback involved a significant project in the late 1980s that collapsed mid-production, costing him exposure and financial security, leaving a lasting impression about the precariousness of acting work. In his personal life, he navigated the strain of frequent travel and unstable schedules, which contributed to marital tensions and periods of emotional isolation, though he managed to maintain a low-profile, private existence. Now, at 73 and living a quieter life, Sam reflects on decades of diverse work with a sense of accomplishment, tempered by the sacrifices required to maintain consistency in a capricious industry. With a net worth estimated between $1 to $2 million, built steadily over years of dependable television and film roles, highlighting a career defined by perseverance, skill, and the subtle complexities of an actor who thrived behind the scenes without courting the sensationalism that engulfs many of his peers. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of King of Queens and where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.